Aryna Sabalenka is a 2024 women's champion from the US Open. Now, incredible match she played, taking out Jessica Pegula 7-5, 7-5. We're the tennis geeks, Purav Raja, Somdev Devvarman, and what a match we witnessed.
Really, Som. If we did this podcast along 2 weeks before, you would have still we would have been very, very right because you called this 2 weeks ago. You called Aryna Sabalenka to win this one 2 weeks ago, and every viewer is very lucky because they only saw us for the last week. Hopefully from the next slams on, they see us much more, and then you will be able to. I mean, that was an incredible call. Just because she was not the favorite coming into the tournament, and we always thought, will Sabalenka blips in this one?
Well, just taking a look at how the two of them reached the final, I mean, not just at the US Open, but even before, by far the best two hardcourt players this season, no question. Sabalenka was super dominant in Cincinnati. She took out Pegula in that final over there. She also beat Iga Swiatek. And the fashion in which she's beating these girls, she just takes the racket out of their hand. And when Sabalenka can execute, when she does execute, there's no chance.
Over the course of the last 12 months that we've been talking, I've always been more of a Swiatek fan, and I've always said that she's going to, dominate. And you've always been a more Sabalenka believer as it stood for the last 12 months. And I feel like now do you see it as a much closer rivalry? And we will talk about that because there is only 2,000 points now. When we spoke earlier, there was 6,000. It was double the points. It's not that anymore. And Swiatek is in danger now of losing a number one spot.
Well, Swiatek is just so dominant on the clay.
Yeah.
She's just so much better.
Does she remind you of Rafa a bit?
She idolizes Rafa.
I don't mean like 14 titles. I just mean like her season.
The way she dominates the clay, every time she steps on a court, she's far and away the favorite. But on the hard courts, if you just take a look at how Aryna Sabalenka has done it, she's, the last four hard court majors, she's been in the final. She's contending. She's won 3. So it's just, the style of tennis that she plays, the brand of tennis that she plays. But let's talk about this particular match over here because they come into this match, Jessica Pegula and Aryna Sabalenka, and I thought Pegula started incredibly well.
Yeah.
But it was just we talk about the power game of Sabalenka and that's what she's all about. But in this particular match, she had to dig deep. She had to, show her grit, her fighting abilities, and getting rid of the demons from last year and then finding a time to perform when it was time to perform.
Yeah, it's like a topsy-turvy match because Pegula broke first in the third game of the match.
Did.
Sabalenka broke back and then Sabalenka went off to a 5-2 lead. Pegula came back. So that was a kind of a topsy-turvy momentum shift match where we see different things happen. Very different than, an Iga Swiatek where we see a lot of bagels. We see a lot of bagels, and when she dominates, she just dominates. Sabalenka now is going through this phase of, somehow winning these matches that she was losing.
Yeah, winning matches when she's not playing her best.
Yeah.
I think that's a mark of a great champion, and I think how Aryna Sabalenka has done it. I mean, props to Jessica Pegula because she came out with a game plan, and the game plan was clear. The second service game, 1-1. She's lasering returns, not letting Sabalenka settle down, and sends the message that I'm here to play.
Yeah.
I'm here to play. She's the one who's ahead. And after she loses that opening set, Sabalenka somehow scraping through the end of that first set, which was nervy. Did we expect a nervy match?
Yeah, I think so. Because of the way that it was. They're both gunning for their first US Open title. Pegula obviously has the whole home crowd behind her. Sabalenka has had blipses at the US Open with Coco Gauff last year, with someone who beat Mukova in the semis. Again, she plays an American. Again, beats Mukova in the semis. Again, a mammoth match. She thinks destiny is going to repeat itself. It's going to come back. Sabalenka showed blipses in that match that destiny could repeat itself.
Yeah, and she did. But, after winning that opening set 7-5, she races off to a 3-love lead. At this point, everyone's thinking, this is done. This is absolutely done. And, you're looking at the body language of Jess Pegula. Next thing you know, Jess Pegula finds a way to fight back. She plays inspired tennis. She's 5-3 up. And what happens?
The same thing again. There's another huge momentum shift. Sabalenka comes to form. I mean, I remember the 5-all game. She just hit 4 forehand winners. And we keep talking. And the one thing that we'll take away from the US Open 2024 is Sabalenka's forehand. Because that's what everybody's talking about. Sabalenka's forehand is just devastating.
It's a devastating weapon. I mean, the fact that she's able to, I mean, she's hitting it in every way. She's finding the angle. She's going inside out. She's going up the line. Return of serve. I feel like this is where Jessica Pegula lost the match.
Oh, okay.
Second serve returns. She served 28 points on returns on her second serve, and she won only 6 points.
Wow.
So to go into any match, let alone a US Open final, and win 6 points off your second serve, that's a hard one to come back from.
And anybody who's been following us should know that in the preview of this match, we mentioned second serve return points as being the key element. And it often is in tennis matches, it often is. But the problem is that few, that's less than 20, that's about 25
to 21%.
21% of points. That's very, very low. You can't win a tennis match.
You can't win a tennis match. You can't win a pressure match. And, that's why you see Jess Pegula threw in a few double faults in tight situations. Those are forced errors. Those are not because Jessica Pegula has forgotten how to serve. It's the threat that Aryna Sabalenka poses. It's the fact that she's standing on top of the baseline, waiting to just wail on a forehand and keep Jess Pegula on the back foot. And in contrast, Sabalenka won less than 50%, but 45% versus 21% on second serves. If you look at their first serves, it's more or less the same. If you look at the aces, double faults, not a whole lot of difference. You can't really pick a winner over there. But the second serves won. The fact that Jess Pegula, who's a top player, is winning just 6 points on her second serve says a lot about the mindset of Aryna Sabalenka.
Yeah. Do you think it's just the scary part that Sabalenka hits the forehand a lot harder than Alcaraz now?
Yeah, I think it's the intimidating. I mean, she's
never faced the forehand like that, surely, Pegula.
I mean, yeah, she did 3 weeks ago in Cincinnati. But apart from
on
that,
the women's tour,
and Iga Swiatek does it very differently. Iga Swiatek has got that massive rip on the ball. She needs a little bit of time, but Sabalenka is just taking time away, and she's hitting it flat. She's hitting hard through the court. I mean, break point down at 5-all. By the way, break point down at 5-all. Sabalenka goes big first serve, backhand up the line winner. So it's just these sort of moments that didn't go for her last year against Coco Gauff, and now she's just found this. Plan A is not working. There is going to be a plan B.
Yeah, which leads me to believe she's mentally a lot better.
She is.
And she's without a psychologist. So that just leads me to a new point, that her attitude is so much better today than it has been in the last, even in 1 year, because she now goes down, she goes 5-3 down, and she comes back and wins that set 7-5. Before, you used to see her, 5 years ago, you used to see her lose that match.
Last year we saw her lose that match.
We got used to the fact of seeing her at least lose that set. Now she's barely losing a set, and she's just, coming back so fast. And often they say it's how a champion recovers from a tough situation that makes him a champion.
I completely agree. And when you're talking about, making improvements, when you're sitting with a coach, let's say Aryna Sabalenka is sitting with Anton Dubrovsky, I feel like the conversation they have is so much more than X's and O's. It's so much more than backhand technique or double faults or, how do I hit my forehand? It's about how do I respond from tough situations? And it's about how do I not let anything from the outside affect what's happening on the inside? And Aryna Sabalenka, admittedly herself talked about that. She said she learned a lot from last year's performances where that 7-6, love 6, 7-6, 7-6, where she beat Madison Keys, but played the wrong way. And then that carried over to the final where she played the wrong way and lost to Coco Gauff in a heartbreaking thing. But, to come back and to show the kind of gutsiness and the character to say that, hey, I'm back here, I've improved, I'm going to win the US Open, dropping 1 set.
Yeah, that's, phenomenal achievement overall. But in general, what's next for Aryna Sabalenka, and what do you think of the US Open so far before we conclude this section?
Aryna Sabalenka, the best player of the year. She played
and
3
what's
majors.
Next for her?
She played 3 majors. She skipped Wimbledon. She played 3 majors and she's won 2. What's next for Aryna Sabalenka? How can she get better? She's 26 years old. Right now she's at 3 majors.
Yeah.
Players who've made 3 majors: Lindsay Davenport, Jennifer Capriati. You're talking about great players. So I think for Aryna Sabalenka, she's probably just one or two more slams, maybe she's already there. But is she a Hall of Famer already?
Yeah, she's a Hall of Famer already. She's achieved more than everything in the sport. I think she can go down as one of the best hard court women's players ever.
Yeah, I mean, that's fair because now she's going to go into the Aussie as a two-time defending champion, and that's the scary thought.
And next for Pegula?
I mean, unbelievable event. Unbelievable event. I think it's super positive for someone like Jessica Pegula. Even the way she played the match, even the fact that she lost the match, the fact that she gave herself a chance in that opening set. She was down 3-5, breaks Sabalenka at 5-4, comes back, puts herself in a situation. She'll learn.
Yeah.
The second set, she's down 3-love, comes back to 5-3. She didn't serve it out. She'll learn.
Yeah.
And unbelievable hard court season, winning Toronto, final Cincy, final US Open, beating Swiatek. I mean, I think super positive for Jessica Pegula.
Yeah, I think the US has something really to cheer about for the future with Pegula and Navarro, and the Buffalo Bills are also happy in the way that they have a new hero, and that's credit to the whole team and obviously Terry Pegula and the way that it's all been generated now for Pegula to be a potential Grand Slam champion. Every Grand Slam she plays, she goes in as a contender, not yet a favorite, but definitely a contender.
Yeah, and if you're beating the number one player in the world 2-4,
yeah,
I mean, you've sent a message to the locker room that I am not only a quarterfinal player anymore.
yeah.
I'm a proper contender. The way she played, I mean, if she loses that match 2-2, it's a different conversation.
Yeah.
But the fact that she's putting herself in situations, I think that's, it's very, very positive going forward, even though she's 30.
Yeah, credit to US tennis. But any big mentions and obviously any disappointments from the US Open in the women's side?
I mean, there's a few. I feel like let's talk about the great stuff. Emma Navarro should be very proud of herself. I mean, the career that she has in front of her, I mean, it's about as exciting as any 23-year-old out there, right? Because she's now made the semis of the US Open. She's top 10 in the world. I think Emma Navarro is a bright spot. I think Diana Schneider.
Yeah.
I think the fact that Karolina Mukova is back.
Yeah.
I think that these are the things that make women's tennis exciting. I mean, what do you think?
I think you're right, and those were exactly the names. But as for disappointments, there was only one player in the top 10 that lost first round. Any guesses?
Sakkari?
Yeah, exactly. That's it. Yeah, you got it. So that's my disappointment. Obviously, Collins and Ostapenko are 11 and 12 in the world, but Ostapenko won the doubles, so it can't be that disappointing. She won the doubles at the in the women's doubles with Kichenok and Collins. I mean, there's very little to say because this is retiring. It's a last tournament. I give, you have to cut her some slack there because this has been such an emotional journey in the best year of her life and, best year of her career. And I think, Sakkari just amazes me every time, but she always...
Yeah, I mean, Sakkari is a question mark. It's a big question mark because she's so great in making the top 8. She's so great in, winning all the other big tournaments, Guadalajara here. And I mean, there's a reason she's top 8, but she's
Cancun,
not doing, she's not doing it consistently. But for me, coming into 2024, the big 3 of women's tennis was Iga Swiatek, Sabalenka, and Elena Rybakina. I think Swiatek, she's playing great tennis. She's number 1 in the world. She's dominating on clay. Every time she's playing any other surface, she gives herself a shot. It takes a great effort from Pegula to beat Iga Swiatek. But for Elena Rybakina, I mean, that is a huge question mark for me because where is she? Why is she withdrawing so much? Now she's coachless. So who's now going to get on that team? And how does she move forward? Because she is a star of the game.
Yeah, there's no real answer for Elena Rybakina. All I can say is that she's not in the top 2 anymore in terms of she's not in the race anymore. It's only a race of Swiatek and Sabalenka. Right now, there's the race for number 1 is Swiatek and Sabalenka. If you have a Rybakina season, you cannot be performing at that high level. Also, Som, a quick mention to all the doubles winners that we've had at the US Open. I mean, we start with Yelena Ostapenko. We have Kichenok who won. And then, of course, our favorites, Max Purcell and Jordan Thompson coming through in the US Open men's doubles. And major champions, can you believe it? It's Max Purcell and Jordan Thompson are Grand Slam winners at the US Open.
I can't say enough good things about those guys. I really can't. And especially if you look at somebody like Jordan Thompson. I'm all for people that maximize in their careers. And I think Jordan Thompson is a perfect example of that. Top 30 in the world, winning doubles majors. I mean, what is intimidating about Jordan Thompson if you're another player on the tour? He's got a good serve, but it's not a great serve. He's got a good backhand, but it's not a It's not a Yannick Sinner backhand, and there's question marks around the forehand, but the competitiveness, he knows the court so well, his IQ, and he just gets the best out of himself to be a doubles Grand Slam champion, to be top 30 in the world. I mean, enough good things can't be said about Jordan, but what about Max?
Max is Max is insane. He is the new Jack Sock of men's doubles. He can.
And why do you say that?
He can. I mean, he can pick anybody in the world, and I mean, Jordan Thompson is an amazing player. Jordan Thompson is an incredible doubles player. Max Purcell takes it to a brand new level. Max Purcell can win doubles matches, and I've seen it with pretty much anybody on planet Earth. He can take me and make me win matches right now, and that's credit to
Don't sell yourself short.
No. I'm just saying that's credit to Max Purcell. He can do things. I mean, there was a period where Jack could play with anyone and win. I'm not saying Max can. That's no discredit to Jordan. Jordan's had a great career. He's a great doubles player. Max Purcell is the number one in the world in my eyes in terms
He's
of
a true
doubles.
number one.
He's the real number one. Mind you, they retire every second tournament. They give a walkover every second tournament because they have to make quali. I mean, they say they're injured, but they have to make qualies of the next week. And Max was sitting outside 90 for a long part of his life. For a long part of this year. And, he had to get back to where he is in the top 40, 45. And you know how the Master Series cuts work. But, Jordan and Max have had they've had very tough singles careers. And now they retire every second week. So, I mean, I know you probably know the feeling better of how singles players deal with doubles.
I mean, I think Max Purcell just has such a clean outlook on exactly what he needs to do. First of all, serves unbelievable.
Saying that he did get broken at 5-4 serving for the match yesterday. He went double-double.
Ooh, but they came back and won.
Came back strong. 6-4 in the breaker, 5-4 in the breaker, hits an unbelievable second serve, 6-4 in the breaker, ace out wide. And that's the comeback.
That's the comeback. And I mean, you got to give it to Max Purcell. I think I agree with you. The guy is just a phenom of an athlete. Maybe the best volleyer in our game today. Arguably top 5 for sure.
Yeah.
For sure, best volleyers in our game. And Max and Jordan winning. But also Kichenok and Ostapenko. I mean, I was reading somewhere that Kichenok had her wedding planned midweek of the US Open, and she had to cancel the wedding because she had to go and win the US Open. I mean, what do you say about that?
She's from Ukraine. I mean, come
Wow.
on. That's like,
Wow.
I mean, let's just go back and think about where all these people are from. It's from Latvia, is Ostapenko, Kichenok from Ukraine, Sabalenka from Belarus. I mean, what are we talking about? These people are going through so much and still winning Grand Slam titles. Of course, we talk about the billionaires in the US, but we're talking about these people who are in, really tough stages in their countries. They're in war-torn nations, and they're coming through and winning Grand Slam titles.
I mean, talk about the mental fortitude, the what it really takes from a champion to go out there, to forget everything that's happening and still go out there and perform. I mean, unbelievable. Props to Kichenok and Ostapenko. And I mean, great from Jordan and Max as well. I mean, incredible effort from all the winners we've seen so far.